Marina Mabrey just couldn't help herself. After getting away with her dirty tactics against Caitlin Clark last season, she was back at it again. And this time she dragged her teammate Jacy Sheldon right into her vendetta against the WNBA's brightest star. What happened on Tuesday night wasn't just basketball. It was a coordinated attack on Caitlin Clark that had fans absolutely furious.
Can we get Caitlin Clark a little protection out there?
Let's break down exactly what went down, because this wasn't some innocent basketball play. This was Marina Mabrey showing her true colors once again, proving that her last season antics against Clark weren't just heat-of-the-moment mistakes. They were deliberate, calculated moves by someone who clearly can't stand seeing Caitlin Clark succeed. The whole mess started in the third quarter, when the Connecticut Sun were getting absolutely demolished by the Indiana Fever. Clark was doing what she does best, making incredible plays and lighting up the scoreboard, and you could see the frustration building on the Suns bench. That's when Jacy Sheldon, clearly following Mabrey's playbook of dirty tactics, decided to poke Clark right in the eye while she was trying to make a play.
Away. I mean, is that displacement?
Now here's where it gets really disgusting. Clark, who had just been poked in the eye and was clearly in pain, pushed Sheldon away, which is exactly what any normal person would do when someone jabs them in the face. But Marina Mabrey, who had been watching this whole thing unfold, saw her opportunity and took it. As Clark had her back turned, dealing with the aftermath of getting poked in the eye, Mabrey came charging in like a linebacker and shoved Clark to the ground. Think about how cowardly that is for a second. Clark is already dealing with one dirty play, she's got her back turned, and Mabrey decides that's the perfect time to blindside her. It wasn't a basketball play. It was straight-up assault disguised as competition.
In Indiana.
Oh, and Marina Mabrey's going to get ejected.
The woman literally waited until Clark was vulnerable and then struck. That's not competitive fire. That's just being a bully. But here's what really tells you everything you need to know about Marina Mabrey's character. After committing this cheap shot, after shoving Clark to the ground while her back was turned, Mabrey had the audacity to act like she was the victim. When the backlash started pouring in from fans who were rightfully outraged by her behavior, Mabrey's response was classic deflection. Damned if I do, damned if I don't. Can you believe the nerve? She commits a dirty play on the most popular player in the league, gets called out for it, and then acts like she's being unfairly targeted. This is the same woman who was laughing and joking about poking Clark in the eye last season, and now she wants to play the victim card when people call her out for her continued dirty tactics. Can you believe that? The officials on the court initially didn't think Mabrey's shove warranted an ejection. Crew Chief Ashley Gloss said the contact did not rise to the level of an ejection and did not meet the criteria for a flagrant foul penalty too. But guess what? The WNBA League office saw right through Mabrey's nonsense. They upgraded her technical foul to a flagrant 2 the very next day, along with an automatic fine. That upgrade tells you everything you need to know. The league looked at the replay, saw Mabrey blindsiding Clark while her back was turned, and said, absolutely not. They recognized it for what it was, a dirty, dangerous play that had no place in professional basketball. But did Mabrey apologize? Did she show any remorse for potentially injuring the league's biggest star? Of course not. Instead, Mabrey doubled down. She refused to apologize for what everyone could clearly see was a cheap shot. Her coach, Rashid Mezian, even tried to defend her with some ridiculous excuse about how she just tried to be between two players. Between two players? She literally shoved Clark to the ground. That's not being a peacemaker, that's being an instigator. The most infuriating part is how Mabrey acts like she's being treated unfairly when people call out her behavior. She's built a reputation as someone who targets Caitlin Clark with dirty plays, and when fans and media point that out, she acts shocked that people are upset. It's like she expects to be able to commit cheap shots without any consequences or criticism. And speaking of consequences, let's talk about how Clark's teammate Sophie Cunningham had to step in and defend her star player later in the game. When Sheldon was driving to the basket near the end of the game, Cunningham wrapped her up and pulled her down hard. Was it a flagrant foul? Absolutely. But it was also exactly what happens when the officials don't control the game and allow players like Mabrey and Sheldon to get away with targeting the opposing team's best player. Cunningham got ejected and fined for her retaliation, but where was that same energy from the officials when Mabrey was shoving Clark to the ground? Where was the protection for the league's biggest star when she was getting poked in the eye and blindsided by cheap shots? The double standard is absolutely glaring. The whole situation tells us everything that is wrong with how Caitlin Clark gets treated in this league. She's the most talented player. She brings in the most viewers. She's the reason people are paying attention to women's basketball. And yet she constantly has to deal with players like Marina Mabrey, who seem more interested in hurting her than actually competing with her. Fever coach Stephanie White said it best when she called out the officiating. Everybody's getting better, except the officials. She saw exactly what was happening. Her star player was being targeted by dirty tactics, and the refs were letting it slide until things got completely out of hand. The fact that no suspensions were handed out after this incident is absolutely ridiculous. Mabrey commits a flagrant foul by shoving Clark while her back is turned. Sheldon pokes her in the eye, and nobody gets suspended. But Cunningham, who was defending her teammate, gets the same punishment as the instigators. The league's priorities are completely backwards. What makes this even more frustrating is that this isn't Mabrey's first rodeo with dirty tactics against Clark. She's been building this reputation all season, and yet she keeps getting away with it. At what point does the league actually hold her accountable? The most telling moment came when Mabrey was on a live stream with her teammate Sania Rivers, responding to criticism about the incident. Instead of showing any remorse or taking responsibility for her actions, she just shrugged it off with her "damned if I do, damned if I don't" comment, while Rivers laughed hysterically. They were literally making jokes about a play where Mabrey could have seriously injured the league's biggest star. It's the kind of behavior that makes people lose respect for players who clearly can't handle competing against superior talent without resorting to cheap shots. The saddest part of all this is that some Clark fans are now saying she should just leave the WNBA entirely. They're tired of watching their favorite player get targeted, poked in the eyes, and shoved to the ground while the league does the bare minimum to protect her. When your biggest star is being driven away by dirty players who can't compete legitimately, you know there's a serious problem with the culture of your league. Caitlin Clark deserves so much better than having to deal with players like Marina Mabrey, who seem more interested in hurting her than actually playing basketball. The fact that Mabrey can commit these kinds of plays, refuse to apologize, and then act like she's the victim shows exactly what kind of character we're dealing with here. The WNBA better wake up and start protecting their biggest asset, because if they keep letting players like Marina Mabrey get away with this garbage, they're going to lose the very thing that's bringing attention and revenue to their league. Caitlin Clark is special, and she shouldn't have to put up with dirty tactics from players who clearly can't handle her greatness. Please let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Also, subscribe and turn on your notification bell if you haven't done that already. Thanks for watching.